Wednesday. We have the extra time, just with our class losing the drop on Friday that we typically would have, just works out well. Okay. So, volume and surface area of a prism. So in each of these, I'm going to do volume and surface area. Okay. So our surface area of our prism is going to be 2b plus pH. Now, if you want to write it right here, I was going to write it on the very bottom what all these letters stand for, like capital B. So on the bottom of the page, it says abbreviation. So I was going to say B is like area of the base. Otherwise, we're writing that in every square. So maybe I should have started with that, but you know. So I'm writing that down on the bottom, if that's okay. Otherwise, you can feel free to put it in each square up here. So 2b plus pH. And then the volume is the area of the base times the height. And again, when we're doing this, the B is still the same thing there. And maybe you want to write this on there too. So obviously S is going to be surface area, V is going to be volume. I have the units squared versus units cubed. Now for our cylinder. Now this one, I'm going to write it the way we probably will use it. So pi r squared plus 2 pi r h. Now, technically, it's the same formula as what we had up above, but I think it's a little bit easier to understand this way. And then our volume. Our R is obviously the radius. Maybe not obviously, but it is. All right, so our surface area of our pyramid . Now this one, you might want to put this in here. L is our slant height. Remember, that's down the side of the shape. So goes down the side is our L. And then our volume doesn't use that slant height. So that's the height of the pyramid. So those are two different things, and so that's probably good to kind of have them next to each other like that. So our cone then. And our volume. Oh, I put hemispheres on here. Shoot, I didn't want them. So don't worry about hemispheres. So I was actually looking at our textbook, and I actually think they do hemispheres wrong for surface area. When they do the surface area of it, they just do the top. They don't cover the bottom. And in my argument, the surface area should actually cover the bottom as well. So I'm not putting that on this test. And that's not the only reason, but I'm just not putting it on the test. So our surface area of our sphere. So some different abbreviations that we use. So area of the base, perimeter of the base, radius, slant height, height of shape, kind of those different things that we could end up needing. Now the back side of our notes are technically almost all new, or not new, sorry, review. Technically because of the fact that some of these, we need these for finding the area of the base. So like, is the base a trapezoid? We have to make sure we know how to find the area of that. So these are from last chapter, but I thought just having them in one place would be the smartest. Okay. So when you guys are ready, we'll flip the page over. So our great circle, this is the largest circle in our, in the sphere. And so we kind of talked about, think about like the equator of the Earth, like going around the longest way possible, or, you know, if you were going from the North Pole to the South Pole and then back again, there's no way to get there faster than going, I guess, unless you drove through the Earth, like going around, you'd have to go the biggest circle possible. Unlike if we went around the Earth, like from Wisconsin, and then just traveled west and then came back home, we would be on a smaller circle than the equator. We're not located on the equator. So if I give you that great circle, that's going to have the same radius as the sphere. So if I give you the great circle, you want to find R. So the formulas we're going to talk about, some of these you guys know really, really well. Others maybe, like you, on a test situation, you'd be glad to have them sitting in front of you. So area of a triangle. I don't want to assume anything, so I don't think that's, you know, especially on a test situation, you gotta get nervous. Base times height divided by 2, and so again, this would help us if we are finding the area of our base. Our parallelogram, square, rectangle, whatever it happens to be, that's just base times height. I drew a parallelogram because that's kind of the most complex one, but at the same time, the square and rectangle are probably more common. on the test. So our trapezoid, B1 plus B2, divide by 2 times the height. Our area of our regular polygon, we need that little a, if you recall. And then the side length. So oh, I just thought of something else I have to put on here. We'll add it on the top or something. Now, area of circle and circumference of circle are two formulas you need. Perimeter of any other shape, you're just adding up the outside edges. So remember, if I need the radius, I might have to divide the diameter in half. So missing sides of right triangles, we have to do that from time to time in these problems. So knowing you can use Pythagorean theorem. If we don't have enough information for Pythagorean theorem, you might have to use SOHCAHTOA. That is not off limits for this test. So there might be some SOHCAHTOA in there. There might be some special right triangles, but SOHCAHTOA works just fine. The other thing I wanted to add in somewhere that I forgot to put on the chart, it's the rule about the faces and edges. You don't have to have this memorized, but it's helpful. I know I have one question about counting faces, edges, and vertices. So just reminding you guys that that the faces plus the vertices equals the edges plus 2. So that's that Euler formula. Again, I'm not going to ask you a ton about that. I'm just basically going to ask you to find faces, edges, and vertices. But knowing that formula might be helpful if you know 2 out of the 3, or if you're unsure if it worked. Okay. I think that's about it. If you think of anything that you think we're missing, or if you come up with something while we're working on the review and you're like, oh, we should probably put that in the chart, feel free to bring that up. We can talk about it, make sure we have it written down correctly. But I think with this should be all encompassing of everything that we need. For your homework, it is out of the book, and I did kind of pick and choose questions based off of what I thought what was more similar to our test. So that's why I have them kind of why it's so
Are we doing the
choosing.
one there?
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. So just a reminder, this is not due tomorrow. Tomorrow you guys are going to take the ACT or the pre-ACT. So just know that you guys are starting at normal time. You're going to those classrooms, and then I would suggest bringing your computers home to charge tonight, just so you're not worried about getting your computer charged during the test.